Hi, everyone, and welcome to the Moving Up podcast I'm Christina Hawkins, and I'm going to introduce you in a moment to Jonathan Mast, who is the owner of Whitebeard Strategies. He is an expert in integrating cutting edge AI into anyone's kind of business operations. He works with a lot of different agencies like myself, as well as just entrepreneurs like yourself and figuring out how to leverage AI to not only boost profits, be more efficient, and I think even more so, delivering exceptional value to your customers. So, in today's episode, we're going to dive really deep into AI, how it's transforming the movie industry. I'm going to ask him some questions on his thoughts, where he sees it going, some tools that he's using, his recommendations on how to use different variations of AI, and just kind of how it's being kind of worked into operations and marketing, customer service, and making businesses a little bit more competitive using AI. So if you haven't started looking into AI, now's the time. Hopefully, this will give you a bit of a boost to do that. So whether you're a tech enthusiast or even just like a moving company owner looking to leverage it, I think this conversation will be very helpful. So I will next interview Jonathan Mast again from Whitebeard Strategies. So thanks so much. Let's just start off with tell me your name and your business and a little bit about yourself.
Sounds good. Well, thanks again for having me on the podcast. I'm thrilled to do that, Christina. I'm Jonathan with Whitebeard Strategies. No idea where I came up with that name, but it's something that works for me. And we really work to help businesses integrate AI into their operations so that they can really, our goal is three things typically: save time, increase profits, and deliver more value to the clients. And having been in business for a few years, one of the things that I get excited about is the fact that AI lets us as a business do all three. Normally, we have to choose, do we deliver more value or do we make more money? Well, now we can do both at the same time.
Right, right. And I think that's one of the reasons why I connected with you so much was that I'm a real proponent of it. I see its value. And I thought, I was on your podcast about a month ago, I think.
Yep,
But
yep.
you're all over Facebook, and I know you're getting known for this as well. So your insight is going to be fantastic. But yeah, that's kind of why I wanted to talk to you more about it, just because moving companies tend to be a little behind on technology. In my mind, they're a little late to the game on a few things, whether that's digital marketing or any kind of technology. And being AI is really at the forefront. I just really want to make sure that these guys kind of understand that it's nothing to be afraid of. It should be used as a tool. But
Yes.
just if anything, at least be familiar with what it can do for you. And so if you want to help me out and just kind of introduce the concept of AI in marketing, and it's just kind of explain how it's kind of changing the landscape for our business.
Sure, we'll do one. The exciting thing for me, Christine, is I don't think it's just marketing. I really think AI fits into operations, it fits into HR, it fits into sales, it fits into delivery. Really, everything that we're doing, I think AI can add value. As I introduced, though, I guess probably the biggest thing I want to remind everybody of is that don't get too high of expectations. So many people that I talk to start using AI and they're like, yeah, it really didn't do much, or what didn't do what I was hoping it would do. AI is a great easier button, but it's not an easy button. And by that, I mean, it's kind of like hiring a new member on your team. If you bring somebody new in onto your team, let's say I'm a moving company and I hire somebody in that's going to help with moves, and I don't teach them how they should pack, how they should pick up, how they should stack boxes in the trailer or the truck, and how they should secure things, chances are they're going to do it wrong because nobody's ever taught them. And AI is really the same. We need to share information with AI so that it can sound more like our company, that it can follow our values, our protocols, our brand, our messaging, whether it's in marketing, because we're going to be creating social media posts or a new press release, or if it's just in writing an internal memo or a standard operating procedure, we want to make sure it's reflecting who we are. So AI is a great tool, but the other thing I want to remind everybody of is it is a tool. And like so many tools, it should make your job easier and allow you to be more efficient, but it won't replace you because it needs you to have something to amplify. AI really amplifies experience and skill. And for example, I'm not a heart surgeon. And if I said, I want to be a heart surgeon and I'm going to use ChatGPT to become a heart surgeon, I'd be a really scary heart surgeon because I don't have any skill or experience there to amplify or to magnify. On the other hand, if I can take an area that I know a lot about, such as digital marketing, like yourself, I can amplify that skill and experience and deliver more value and be more efficient. In a moving company, regardless of what your role is, I think you can use it again to amplify that experience and that skill that you already have, allowing you to get more done in less time and deliver more value.
Awesome. Yeah, I totally agree with you when it comes to being a tool, not just for marketing, but any kind of operations. I do see a lot of AI being built into different operations with the software when they're trying to calculate different areas of a room, right? And so they're starting to build in a way to provide somebody a much faster estimate, like on the fly.
Hmm.
Even the ability for the customer themselves on a website. It hasn't been built yet, but I've seen people talking about it. I think it's doable. Is to input how many rooms you have, give a general size, what kind of things you have, and the AI can kind of determine, are you third floor? Is it a single family home? And be able to kind of come up with a good enough estimate that you can kind of use that. And in addition
Absolutely.
to the marketing side, one of the things about AI too is when it back to the marketing side of it is building topical authority. So, and I
Yes.
know you are 100% on board with that. The concept of the authority,
Hmm.
building your own authority, and positioning yourselves. What kind of how can moving companies utilize that?
Really good question. And let me just begin, if I can, by saying how important I think that a moving company does that. Just imagine if you're running a moving company and you want to be known as the moving expert in your area. You want to make sure that people call you first because you're top of mind. That's really what topical authority is. It's about being that go-to expert in your niche. And AI can help you do that in so many ways. On the most simplest basis, AI can help you identify the most common questions that your audience is asking about the services that you provide. And one of the best ways to build topical authority is to simply, believe it or not, answer those questions.
Mm.
If you, as a moving company, would record a short, generally less than 1 minute video answering the top 30 or 50 or 60 questions that your audience was asking, and you start putting those out there on social media, you add them to your website, you make sure that they're searchable and findable on YouTube and all that, you will find that very quickly you will start getting phone calls from people that you've never heard of, never have talked to, because they've seen your videos and you have answered their questions, and therefore you're the expert. There's
Right.
a great book out on the same topic called They Ask You Answer, and it talks about the exact same thing about how just answering those questions allows you to do that. And the AI helps us do that faster because not only will it tell us what those questions are, but we can then ask it for outlines on how should I answer this? You probably know, but maybe you need a little guidance. And you can get all that from AI. It can also help on the end side. We know it can do, for example, video editing. I can take that raw video and have captions automatically added and things like that, so that that production that used to take a specialist, somebody that we had to pay to go do all that editing. Nine
Mm.
times out of 10, I was looking for my phone, realized that's what I'm talking to. I can literally do most of that right on my phone nowadays. I want in just seconds using some of the AI tools.
Yeah, you recommended a really great tool, and I think I have to find it here real quick. I use it all the time to create video shorts. And at first, I would come up with topics, and then I would go back to ChatGPT and help me come up with a script. Now, again, it's a tool. I can't just copy paste the script. I really have to take
Exactly.
a moment and read it. And I've even sometimes kind of run through it one time. Does that even make sense? But that has helped a lot of, for me especially. I think for moving companies, they don't understand that most of the time they're blocked because they don't know what to say. They know
Sure.
exactly what has to happen. They know so much. They just don't want to take the time, or just it's scary to come up with a script and talk to a camera. The more you do it, the easier it is. But that one tool, let me come up really quick, is what it was. Oh, teleprompter. It's called
Yep.
teleprompter, and I think that was your recommendation. Now, until recently, I would go, like I said, ChatGPT, but now I found that the AI script in there is even better than ChatGPT. So I'll
Fantastic.
give it a topic, and it'll actually come up with a pretty decent script. Again, I still got to edit and kind of look at it, but I mean, talk about an all-in-one resource where give it a topic, give it a script, and you talk to the camera, and it'll send it. Now, then I go back into Descript though to help a little bit more because I want to do some editing. But if you are a moving company, you can pump out these 1 minute shorts and videos. Really, really
Well,
easy.
you point out a really good thing, and that's that you don't need a video studio to do this. Literally, the smartphone in your pocket will actually resonate better with the audience that you're trying to reach to, whether it's a commercial or residential or anybody else. Just literally grab your phone in between stops while you're having coffee, maybe eating lunch, maybe you're sitting on the back of the truck, and just answer a question.
Yep.
It's so effective.
I will also say that helps combat, on the flip side, too much AI generated content. Because yes, you
Yes.
can have a script written for you. You can't, all these tools, but what people really, really want is you. I don't care if you're scruffy, if you didn't brush your hair. I don't care if you've got a spot on your shirt. They just want a human
Yes.
being talking to them because that's one way to establish the authority, but be real, be a human being talking to me, and answer those very, very valuable questions. So yeah, it's a tool, but
Yes.
be yourself. So back on that tool option, what are some of the most effective AI tools that you think would be helpful for moving companies?
Well, if you're, regardless of whether you're getting started or in it, I think that if you focus on the core main tools, mainstream tools, you're going to be doing the best to get started with. I want to warn everybody, as soon as you start using AI, you're going to start seeing emails and messages on social media and everything else for all of these specialty tools. The best tool for moving companies, AI, and the best tool for this for AI. Stick with the basics when you're getting started. I've been doing AI for over a year now, almost a year and a half. As you know, Christina, I spend my day really living and breathing AI. And the main tools that I use on a day-to-day basis are ChatGPT, Claude, and Perplexity. The three of the main tools. I use Midjourney a lot for creating images.
Yep.
There are certainly lots of others, but you don't need to go buy all these specialty tools. Almost all the tools are using either ChatGPT or Claude in the background as far as the engine that's running it. So why not just work directly with them to begin with, save time, save money, and be able to have better control over the content that it's creating, whether that's a memo, rewriting an email, one of my favorite things to do with it, brainstorming about a new idea that you've got. I have new ideas all the time on my website. Can you talk to ChatGPT first before you tell me? Because she knows that a lot of times ChatGPT will help me realize, oh, that wasn't a good idea.
Mm-hmm.
But use it for those types of things and
Mm-hmm.
stick with the basics.
Mm-hmm. I think one thing I'm always learning from you, but one big one was the custom chat GPT was very helpful to essentially give it my voice, and
Yes.
even more so, which is the other thing I didn't realize I started doing about a month ago was creating even more specific custom chat GPT. So, something about podcasts, right? Moving marketing podcast chat GPT, moving marketing blog posts, like really, really specific so that I get the better response from it and not just a general, response that I have to keep providing more prompts for it. And the same thing goes with Midjourney. I don't think you can create custom Midjourneys, but the more you use it, the better you are at the prompts.
Yes.
You have to be. Have they gotten better with hands?
They have, especially each version gets better and better.
Yeah.
But you make a really good point. If you're not doing anything and you were to start, just start with a Chat GPT subscription. It
Mm-hmm.
gives you so much benefit for $20 a month. I don't get paid to say it, but it's good software. You get access to all the custom GPTs that you mentioned, which are kind of like apps for your phone. So if you want to do something, there's a Chat GPT for that. There's the same thing. You get access to their voice. I love that. The fact that instead of having to type, I can talk to it and it'll even talk back to me. And that's great, especially for hands-free driving nowadays. I've got an idea, I want to do that. I can do all that hands-free. It does have its own image generation software called DALL-E. Does a
Mm-hmm.
pretty good job. You can create good images and all that type of stuff. So
Mm-hmm.
all of that comes in, not to mention it also includes data analysis. So maybe you're getting a new moving report about trends for migration amongst residents in and out of your area, and you
Mm-hmm.
want to analyze that report. Imagine being able to actually have a conversation and ask questions of that report. You can upload it to ChatGPT and you can say, so tell me, in the last 3 years, if that information's in the report, how many people moved into or out of my area? What was the average demographic or the average income level? What do we see as trends for the future? And based upon the data in that PDF, ChatGPT will literally analyze it and give you answers.
Hmm. Yeah, we've used it for like SEO purposes on location pages. So we'll ask it to say, what's the population? Or one of my favorite was, what is a 100-mile radius of the top cities from this particular location? And it'll generate, and then now add population level. So we'll kind of decide what markets we need to target. In addition, when we create location pages, we start adding, what are the top resources for anybody moving to XYZ city? Provide the name, the website, the address, the phone, in a table format, and it will
Yes.
100% just build out like police and courts and libraries and schools and all that. So I don't have to, I used to spend 30 minutes looking for that, Googling that myself. So just on my own operations, it's been really great. So back with that content creation, how can we use it for content creation that might attract the right kind of customers for moving companies?
Mhm. Well, as a moving company or any entrepreneur, I want to encourage you that however often you're posting on social media, you should probably be posting more. And what that means is that when you post on social media, and that's just one of many marketing things we can do, but you and I both know, Christina, that only a small percentage of the people that like and follow you or familiar with you are actually seeing those posts. So instead of posting once a week or maybe 3 times a week or even once a day, if we can up that to 3 to 5 times a day, providing value, again, answering those questions we talked about, then we can get a lot more exposure. And AI can help us do that because it can do a great job. If we give it a topic and we know there's a question, we could ask it, give me 5 different ways to answer this question and write a social media post for each one of those. Obviously, we want to proofread that, just like I would if an assistant was doing it for me. But now all of a sudden, I can have my team or myself or whomever, we can really up our game when it comes to the amount of content that we're putting out there. And in most cases, as long as that content is helpful, that simply means we're going to get more exposure. The more exposure we get, the more phone calls we get. Simple as that.
Mm-hmm. Oh, wow. Yeah, that's cool. What about, how can we personalize it though? I mean, sometimes it's a little difficult. It gets super
Mm.
generic. How can I make sure that it's targeting that specific either locality or maybe the type of clients that I want?
So, 2 things that I would really recommend there. First, I recommend when you're using the tools, have it go to your website and analyze your website and create what we call I'm going to lose the name, but basically a tone and style document that's going to brand style. That's what we call it. I
Mhm.
had a memory blank there, but a brand style document for your company. Have it look at your website, have it take a look at the pages, and based upon that, it'll create an outline of the things that are relevant about your company so that it knows. It's not going to have every bit, but it's going to now be able to write and sound a lot more like you.
Mhm.
So then save that. The other part of it is always tell the audience that you're creating content for. So if I'm writing a memo that's going to my clients, I want to be able to do that. If I'm writing a social media post, a lot of movers I know do both residential and commercial. I want to make sure I'm identifying this is a post for residential people. This is a post for commercial moving, and make sure that the AI knows that so that it can target what it's creating accordingly for that. Obviously, little things like you mentioned, mentioning the location you're in, mentioning your marketplace, things like that. Even mentioning if you know some of the pain points or the fears that your audience has. And if you don't know those fears, ask ChatGPT to help you. It likely does and can give you that research to say, what are the top 5 fears that a homeowner has when they're switching homes as it relates to hiring a moving company? And ChatGPT can now give you that. Now you've got content that you can create.
Mhm. Oh, wow. We keep talking about ChatGPT, but can we expand that more into what other kind of AI tools? Like, I mean, we talk about Midjourney. Midjourney is the tool that creates artificial images.
Mm-hmm.
Um, what are the other topics I'm trying to think of? Is like I said, the video editing tool, Descript. I mean, these are all AI
There's
tools.
lots of them. Yeah.
Yeah, it's
So
all
when
kind
I
of,
say
go
Yeah,
ahead.
when I say ChatGPT, I'm really referring to all of what we call the text-based tools. So that's going to be ChatGPT, Claude, Gemini, Perplexity. They're all fit kind of into that same bucket, so to speak. And I just bore everybody if I said all 4 of them. Then you have your image generation tools that you mentioned. And then there's lots and lots of other tools around that. Descript happens to be one of my favorite when it comes to video editing, because if you can edit a word processing document, you can edit your video by just literally moving around, copying, pasting words, deleting words, changing words, and you edit your video. I love that tool.
Mhm.
So there's a lot of them like that.
Okay. So what kind of pitfalls or what kind of challenges can we share with moving companies to kind
Mm.
of help them, don't fall into these issues? These are kind of obstacles, things to be careful of when you are using these tools.
Well, the biggest thing I want to is to remind you it's not fallible, or it is fallible. It's not perfect. It does make mistakes. And you may go, how in the world can it make mistakes? Well, let me ask you, Christina, have you ever read a news article or a book or watched a video that you went, no way, that's not true?
Right. Oh, all
Probably,
the time.
right?
Sure. Yeah.
Yeah. Guess what? AI was trained on that as well as the other stuff. And so sometimes it doesn't know what's real and what's not. So just as if I'm having an assistant help me with something, let's say I'm writing a memo for my team. I want to make sure that before that memo goes out to the entire company, that I take a quick look at it, even if my assistant drafted it. You want to do the same thing with AI. You want to remember that you need to proofread things. If you don't, you will be embarrassed sooner or later because it's going to fill in the blanks and make assumptions
Mm.
in sometimes those assumptions are going to be wrong.
Can
That, in
you
my mind,
can you ask it to
sorry,
give you sources? Can you ask it, it's like, where did you source this from?
you can, and sometimes that'll help, although sometimes it will just make that up too. So I've got a 16-year-old in high school, and he's a great kid. But if he didn't have a source, I wouldn't put it past him to make one up.
Mm,
It would sound reasonable and credible and all that, but I admit I probably did the same thing when I was in high school as well because I figured they're not going to check every reference. ChatGPT kind of acts the same way.
mm.
So yes, you can ask that if you want to, and that can be helpful.
But you
I
still
always,
have to check it though. You still have to go, oh, look at their source.
yeah.
Is that even a real company or a real? Okay, yeah, I get it.
Exactly.
Mhm.
So that's just one of the things that you get used to. Now, the good news is in my experience, normally when it's using statistics, if it's not a stat you gave it, generally that statistic is not integral to whatever it's creating. There are exceptions, but generally it's not. So, if it says 63% of residential residences who are moving prefer to use ABC moving, if you don't know if that's true, you can just delete that because it probably isn't relevant to the overall article, the blog post, the memo, or whatever that's being written.
Hmm. Yeah. I would say another one too, is don't rely on it as your sole source for the content. I sometimes get
Correct.
clients that send me blog posts. I rewrote 20 blog posts and I'm like, there's none, I wouldn't use any of these. First off, you can 100% tell it's written by ChatGPT, whatever tool they use. And
Yep.
I know Google just had a really big update back in March where they penalized a lot of people for using only ChatGPT. So I think it just always goes back to if you are going to use it, be aware that it is a tool and only a tool. It is not the end all be all of all your blog and all your content marketing. It is to help improve the process, make you more efficient. But I don't recommend creating blog posts, copy pasting it, throwing it in, and generating 30 blog posts a day. It just doesn't work like that. Google recognizes it. I would also say if you're going to use it, edit it. There's other tools. I use AI SEO AI,
Hmm.
that helps take that and turn it into human words. Still have to edit it. Still can't just copy paste it. Still sounds weird, but it's again, our efficiency level is increased. But then also making sure that when you are adding photos and images too, I run into this photos where there's like a third arm,
Oh,
the
yes.
leg is like super long, and it's a tool. And so the when for me the pitfall is don't just use it as is. Don't
No
just
doubt. And yeah, I think as we talked up front, AI amplifies skill and experience. So
Mhm.
it's not going to make me a great heart doctor overnight. It's just not going to do that.
Right.
And I think, it's so often we look at it, especially in the marketing field, and we go, oh, we can just have anybody do this now because it's going to be so simple. You and I both have seen the results of that. It doesn't work well. Going back to Google's recent update that you mentioned, if your content's not adding value to your audience, it's going to cause more problems for you than not. So just putting words out there doesn't do any good. The
Right.
great news is AI, when properly prompted and properly edited, can indeed help you create better content, but it still needs you involved in the process. It needs your expertise to amplify.
Mhm.
Without that, it's not going to impress anybody.
Yeah. Yeah. And I think again, back to our beginning of conversation is people, to use your voice, your face, your style, and be able to kind of, you are your brand. If you're the owner of a
Correct.
company, whatever that is, it still has to come from you. What are some trends that you're seeing? What kind of future that you're seeing for AI?
There's so many things happening. I think some of the biggest ones happening right now are in the area of video that you mentioned earlier, where we're seeing better ability to replicate or do a deep fake on what somebody may do. And there's a lot of business owners I know look at that and go, oh, finally, I don't have to be on camera. But
Mm,
you made a really good point, and I want to remind everybody, and it fits in with Google too. One of the best things you can do to build your credibility, and Google has a what they call an EEAT formula. I know you're very familiar with Christina, but your audience may not. And it basically talks about experience and expertise and authority and trust, and you need to be able to demonstrate that. And you want to demonstrate that not just for Google, but because your clients want to see that as well.
right.
And if I put up an AI video that may or may not look like me, that's likely not going to create the same level of trust if I just hold up my phone
Mm-hmm.
and I record that video myself. So I
Mm-hmm.
think that's there. And I think that's one of the biggest areas where we're seeing improvements. Things are getting better and better. The
Mm-hmm.
downside of that is people are also getting more wary of that. So any glitch on your videos or anything like that is now going to be perceived as AI and is going to potentially hurt credibility for you.
Oh,
The
all
other
those
big
internet
area,
detectives out, all those internet detectives out there that are looking for the minutest of flaws. If you use
exactly.
kind of filters, they're like looking for that, and they're claiming it. They're saying you're a fraud. You're not real. And so I think what we're looking for are the flaws. We don't want perfection. We want the
Exactly.
flaws, and that's what makes everybody human is the flaws. So using an AI generated image of yourself completely removes you. It just it doesn't help. I don't believe it is in any way
I'm
going
with
to
you
help.
100%.
Yeah.
Yeah. The other area I think we're seeing a lot of difference in is memory. In other words, the ability for AI to remember things that you've told it in the past.
Mm,
AI has a fairly limited memory right now. I always compare it to like a conveyor belt. If you imagine a long conveyor belt, but at some point, as that conveyor belt goes, the belt goes and turns underneath and comes back to be used again on the top. And when that happens, anything that's on that conveyor belt falls off onto the floor.
mm,
Memory with AI works kind of the same way. At some point, depending on where you're at, it's going to forget that first bit of information because it's going to fall off. That memory is continuing to increase almost exponentially, but that's another area that I see huge increase in. And I think that'll help because that can mean, Christina, you and I could have had a conversation 6 months ago, and I shared an aspect that was relevant to a project we're working on. AI nowadays, if we've talked over the last 3 to 6 months and filled that in, is going to have forgotten that. As time goes on, that memory limit's going to increase, and it's going to do a better job of remembering all of those things that we've told it. And I think that'll just make using it that much easier.
right. Wow. Memory. I didn't even think about that. That's true. Because every time I do use the chat, it's like I have to remind it even if I use the custom ones, I have to kind of remind it over and over again. Like, remember
Hmm.
when we talked about this? So, yeah.
It's
Anything
it's
else
a lot
about
like talking to people. You and I were talking just before we kicked off this call about the AI note takers and how cool
Mhm.
they are because they help us remember the things that we talked about in meetings. And just as humans, sometimes I need that little reminder to go, oh, yeah, that's what I talked to Christina about last month.
Mhm. Mhm.
AI needs those same reminders.
Yeah. Yeah. And just for you guys, we were talking about, note takers on Zoom. You talk about a really great tool that I insist on all of our meetings being on Zoom so that I can record it and it instantly creates highlights for me. And it's so funny because most of my clients get on, they're like, what is this? Like it
Hmm.
blows their mind what we're able to do now. But it highlights the fact that not everybody understands the how far AI has come. They just keep repeating chat GPT. But what they don't really understand is how it's permeated in so many different operations. They're not in it. They don't see it as often as you and I see it. And I think, these talks that you and I have, we can share that as much as possible. It's not just about writing a blog post and creating a cool image. The operations things. And so how can you fit this into your sales team, right? So if you have conversation with clients on sales, that can be on a Zoom call. All these things can be incorporated in your daily operations to help you make you more efficient. Which actually comes to me. How do you think AI can improve customer service?
Well, I think there's a couple ways it can do that. One, I think that we all have probably heard about AI chatbots, the ability for a customer that needs immediate information to be able to talk to an AI and get some of that. And I think that's very accurate. And I think we're going to see lots of improvements there. The one thing I want to encourage everybody, though, there's nothing wrong with using an AI tool to provide customer service, but don't hide the fact you're using an AI tool. And the
Right.
reason I say that is most customers, if given the opportunity, you can wait on hold for 27 minutes, or you can talk to our AI bot, which can likely solve your problems, are going to happily choose to talk to your AI bot, and they're not going to be upset about it.
Mm-hmm.
But if you don't let them know and they think that they're talking to a real person, that then you've created mistrust, which is not something that we want to do.
I
The
really
other area
like
where,
that. Yeah. Sorry. I
yeah,
really
yeah,
like that because I keep seeing these chat bots coming out and they're screaming at all of us marketers like chatbot, chatbot, chatbot. And they're showing the examples of these conversations happening. And I don't like it. Again, I feel like it's disingenuous. It's not real, but I
mhm.
like that approach of asking me, listen, you can talk to tech support or you can talk to our AI. But at the end, if the AI didn't answer the question, I want the option of talking to a human being. Just like when I pick up the phone, I can dial zero.
Exactly.
So I like that approach.
The other area where I think it provides a lot of value is in oversight. So I was just talking with a client the other day, and one of the things that we're working on for them is the ability that, again, like through the meeting note takers we were just talking about, that those customer service interactions are recorded and transcribed. And now AI is actually going through and to identify any problems that maybe the customer service rep didn't point out, or to identify maybe we had an irate customer, or simply to say, oh, hey, here's an area of training we need to deal with because we found out none of our team is really trained on how to handle this. But we would have never maybe figured that out if we had three customer service reps because it wouldn't have coalesced that data and went, oh, look at this. In this area, we have questions that are coming up and our team doesn't know how to answer them. And
Right.
so I think that's the other area for customer service is giving management the ability to, without having to scour through and look over somebody's shoulder, to be able to do good quality checks on how that team is doing and ensuring that you are being able to provide the highest level of customer service. Not that you're trying to replace your customer service reps, but that you're trying to make sure they have all the knowledge they need in order to provide the best possible service for your customer.
So two things. What would you recommend the process for that be? So obviously most of these things are recorded. Download
Mhm.
that, send that off to something like rev.com that can transcribe it. Or can I upload that to Chat GPT, that whole conversation? But no, I have to transcribe it first, right? Don't I have to get it transcribed and then upload the
Yeah.
conversation? Yeah.
Yeah, so there's a couple steps. Obviously, we need to take the recording, we need to transcribe it, and then we need to
Yeah.
send that to AI to have it analyzed. The good
Right.
news is all of that can be automated with very basic tools like Zapier and
Mm-hmm.
Make and things like that. So we don't necessarily need to go buy special software to do all of that.
Mm-hmm.
In this case, it's not even about doing it real time for the client that I'm working with. They simply want an end of the day report to come through and basically say, okay, I looked and uh-oh, Jonathan had three, let's call them temperamental discussions today with clients that weren't particularly happy.
Right.
And AI can analyze that to by the end, was the client happy or did Jonathan have to wrap up the call and still leave with an unsatisfied client? And
Mm-hmm.
obviously those, not that every interaction ends perfectly, but those can help us as management identify areas for improvement, can identify maybe training things that need to be happening, or just, uh-oh, we have an issue here that we don't have a policy or a procedure or anything else that we need to develop and handle without having to micromanage the employees and without having to sit and again look over their shoulders and listen to everything they're doing. We can use AI to process that data essentially in the cloud or on our own servers, and these things can run locally on your computing systems or they could run in the cloud and then provide that information or those notifications to the appropriate people when they need them.
Right. Yeah. The one of the operations that I like is recording a Zoom call or something where I talk through a process that gets transcribed inside, not Zoom, but any of these
Loom
kind of
probably.
screen
Yep.
recorded. Yeah. Yeah. And being able to upload that transcript and I'll tell it write an SOP based on this transcript and it'll kind of organize it. But I thought this is a real quick operations thing that people forget to create SOPs. AI can help you with that. So just kind of ending the conversation, what are some ethical considerations that moving
Mm.
companies need to kind of understand when it comes to AI?
Well, I'm probably a bit of a contrarian here because a lot of people go, we need to talk about AI ethics. I want to just drop AI from it. We need to just talk about ethics in business.
Yeah.
If you're following an ethical business model, you're going to follow that with AI as well. I don't believe we need separate AI parameters because we're really talking about the same things: integrity, truthfulness, giving credit where credit's due, not making things up that shouldn't be there. All the same things that would apply in business. So to me, I believe the entire AI ethics discussion really boils down to a business ethics discussion. And it's important to make sure that all of our teams and our staff and our everybody is trained appropriately to handle situations ethically. 99% of the people are probably going to do that, but sometimes some guidelines help. And I think that same applies with AI. I don't necessarily think there's particularly special circumstances that AI brings up. But obviously, if you do, then let's address those as you would any other situation within your business.
Yeah, I agree. I think you kind of touched on as we've had this conversation, a lot of things that you've touched on, things like being upfront that this is a chat AI bot, being
It's a great
upfront that
example. Yeah.
yeah, all those things are ethical operations that if even if you write blog posts, I've seen people source the AI. This is, sourced from Chat GPT or something like that, where you're just very upfront that yes, this is AI. I did use it for research. But again, back to the concept of just being real. I think just
Hmm.
having, like you're saying, an ethical business, running your business ethically will then drive, that will be the culture of how you use AI. So again, if you're going to use AI to have your own video and it's, what was it, Max Headroom? Remember the days? You probably
Yeah. Oh, yes. Yes.
you know, and it looks it. But if you kind of tell people up front, hey, I use this tool for, and just explain why it is. But I still believe in having a real person up front. I don't care. I don't care what you say.
Oh,
But
on video, I'm with you 100%. But like for
yeah,
customer
just,
service, my customer service bot is called Jonathan's Assistant in this case because,
oh, that's a good.
it's
Yeah.
and it doesn't necessarily announce itself as such, but it's a text-based tool. And if you say, "Who is this?" It'll say, "Oh, I'm Jonathan's AI assistant."
Mhm.
I don't want anybody to ever wonder about that.
You can train these chat bots just real quick to kind of filter spam, because I feel like, this is
Yes.
probably sidebar here, but the problem with chat bots is 99% of the stuff you get are people that are marketing themselves and just trying to get some
Yes.
attention that way. So I feel like if you have a chat, make sure AI is attached to it in some capacity, but you still have to train it to recognize the questions. But I think, in the future, I think that's a really good tool. You just have to understand its limitations and be upfront about it. But
Yeah,
how
it
can,
needs to be trained like anybody on your team.
yeah, yeah. There's tools out there too that we in the group that we're in. I think they had a really great company. I can't remember the name of the company. I'm really bad about that, but they give a really good example of how they've trained Chat GPT in the chatbot. I mean, it's
Right.
really kind of freaky. But
Yeah.
but again, they're very upfront saying this is AI bot answering questions. Anyway, how can a moving company start with AI? What would you recommend they do to get started?
Well, I think the first thing I'd recommend is bring your management team or your leadership team in and have them start using it and challenge them to use it a couple of times a day to do something simple like write a memo, create a standard operating procedure, or just write an email. We've all had those emails that we need to write and we just say, oh my goodness, how do I say this the right way?
Google
Let
reviews,
ChatGPT
answering
and
Google
yes,
reviews.
thank you. The next thing I'll say is whoever's in charge of answering your Google reviews,
Mm,
use ChatGPT to help you do that. It's unemotional and it will do that. So when you get a rotten review from somebody and you didn't deserve it, instead of being the way that you know how it is, Christina, you feel,
mhm.
I can't believe they said that. That's not like, no, let ChatGPT respond and let them know that we want to resolve the situation. We appreciate your feedback, but
Right.
we would like to talk about the details because it'll de-escalate that. And remember, just a sidebar, totally on AI related, but the way you respond to negative reviews reflects a lot on you as a company. And
Mhm.
so if you get one, it's okay. Everybody gets negative reviews. You can't please everybody all the time. But when you respond to that, well, other people in the future will look at that and go, oh, well, they didn't blow up and get mad and call the person a liar. They
Mhm.
handled it professionally. They let them know they wanted to deal with it. I
Mhm.
think I can trust this company. So yeah, that's another thing.
Yeah.
The last thing I would do as far as using it as a moving company is encourage your team and give them permission to use the AI tools to help them do their jobs better, not to cheat and get things done wrong, but to help them be more efficient.
Mm-hmm.
And I think when leadership takes that position and then possibly start demonstrating, doing some training, if necessary, bring somebody like Christina or myself in and let us spend 30 minutes with your team in a team meeting, just teaching them some of the basics of what they can do. That'll create a culture of innovation within inside the company and will allow your team to help find best ways to do it. And that'll ultimately, again, provide more value to your clients. And that means better testimonials. That means more sales.
Mm-hmm. Oh, that's fantastic. Thank you so much, Jonathan. That was really, really helpful. Hopefully you can come back and get more in depth on some of these other topics that we kind of skimmed over. But how can people reach you if they want to learn more about AI and their business?
Well, as you know, I've got a large Facebook group that's designed
Mhm.
just for business owners. We've got about 95,000 people in there right now. You're
Mhm.
welcome to join that. It's perfectly free. If you want the link for that and other free resources that I have, just go to jonathanmast.com. That's jonathanmast.com/link tree, and it'll come right up. There's links to my upcoming courses, there's links to my group, anything like that. And I have a ton of free resources. You don't have to spend any money. You can still learn a lot.
That's fantastic. Thank you so much on it. And all that stuff I'll put in the show notes. So again, Jonathan, any other parting words but that you want to give, or you good?
Don't be scared. Embrace AI. It's a tool that's here to stay. And those that learn how to use it well are going to thrive.
Awesome. Thank you so much. This has been great. I appreciate your time here. Thank you.
Thank you.
You have a good day. I'll talk to you later. See you on Facebook. Bye.
Bye bye.
Okay, so thanks for staying in tuned for the podcast with Jonathan. I think I know I learned a lot from it, some things I didn't even know. I hope that today's discussion kind of sparks some ideas for yourself and how you can integrate AI into your own business, not just kind of not just to keep up with technology trends, but kind of genuinely enhancing your own services. What can you do? How can you leverage AI in your own business? It is a tool. Just remember, AI is a tool to amplify your capabilities, and it's not meant to replace you. It's meant to provide you, again, just from an efficiency standpoint, but you still need to be you. You still need to be authentic you, and you need to present yourself. I think that's going to be the best way to utilize AI. And again, thank you to Jonathan for his help. I encourage you to reach out to him. If you have more questions, join the Facebook group. I will put that Facebook group in the description of the show notes. And good luck to you all. Let me know if you have any questions in the comments. Thanks so much. Bye.